Hello, welcome to the AZ-900 Microsoft Azure Fundamentals Training Series. This is the third module of the first learning path, which is Describe Cloud Service Types. In today's video, we are going to talk about the infrastructure as a service, the platform as a service, the software as a service, and we are going to talk about pizza. Indeed, you did hear me well. In today's video, we are going to talk about different options to eat pizza, and this will help us to understand the differences between each cloud service type. Hold on for a minute. I will explain everything for you. My name is Bilel MAROUEN. I'm Azure Solutions Architect and Microsoft Certified Trainer. Let's start the training. So before we start, I'm really sorry about the poor audio quality for today. Unfortunately, my mic stopped working and I need to get a new one. So let's jump on to the slides and start our training. So the pizza as a service. So in order to have a good pizza, what are our different options? So the first one will be to cook it at home or to make it at home. So we need to have or to buy some ingredients like the cheese, toppings, tomato sauce. We need to start the oven. This will be run on electricity or with gas. We need to have some drink. We need to dress the dining table. Then we can eat pizza without having good friends and hold some good conversations. Okay. The second option would be take and bake. So we will have the pre-made pizza that we get from any supermarket. We will put it on the oven. We will buy the drink, dressing the table, having friends, and holding discussions and conversations. The third option would be the delivery. So we can go upper on the responsibility that we need to have in order to get a pizza, and we will get rid of the starting the oven and paying for electricity, for example. So we will ask a restaurant to prepare it for us and then to send it out to deliver it for us. Then we will have only to have drinks, dining tables, the friends and conversations. And the fourth option would be getting out to a restaurant. Everything will be prepared for us, even the drink and the dining table would be dressed for us. I will take my friends and hold on some conversations and enjoying eating my pizza. So these are mainly the four different options in order to take or to have a good pizza. So how this will be compared to cloud service types? The first option, which is the made at home, this would be the on-premises cloud service type. So here, in other terms, we need to buy everything. This would be from the networking side, storage servers, having the building, having everything set up on place, configure everything together, having the teams, security layer, and everything in order to have infrastructure in place. However, the second part would be similar to the infrastructure as a service. In this way, we are getting rid of all the network stuff and computing services and so on, and focus on installing the application, configuring the OS, and so on. Stay for a second. I will show you on the next slide the different components that we are talking about by analogy with the pizza as a service. The third option would be similar to the platform as a service. As here, we are not taking care of any more of the platform. We are only focusing on data, the communications, and the application. The fourth option would be the software as a service. And here, everything is ready for us. We will subscribe to a license or having a reservation on a booking in a restaurant, take our friends, holding conversations, and everything is set up for us. So let's switch to the second slide and compare the pizza at home, which is the on-premises equivalent for our infrastructure. And the first thing, we need to have some networking in place, then some storage, servers, and virtualization. Then we need to add the OS on top of the virtualization, install some middleware like the SQL Server. We need to handle the authorization like the network access list. Then we need to manage the application, install the application on top of everything. Then we need to hold on the directory infrastructure for our identities like MS Enter ID. Then we need to create accounts like for our users. And last, we need to have some data to ingest it into our application. So this is all the components that we need to have in order to host our application uh, and run our workloads on a data center on premise, for example. And for sure, this will be the model that we need to hold on for our on premise infrastructure. Then Now let's move on to the cloud service types. And the next part would be the infrastructure as a service. As you notice here, we are introducing the shared responsibility model. You are going to be asked about the shared responsibility in the exam questions, and you need to notice that sometimes we have responsibility on the customer side, sometimes on the vendor side, but there will be always a shared responsibility. Any cloud service type would have a shared responsibility. This will vary from the ES to the PaaS. So the ES would be have the less responsibilities on the vendor side, and as we progress, we will delegate more responsibilities to the vendor, and we are going to focus more on the application and so on. So let's start with the infrastructure as a service. Here, as you can notice, the networking, the storage, the servers, and virtualizations are going to be handled by the vendor. So like we are renting the infrastructure from the cloud service provider. And the best example here would be a virtual machine. So we command a virtual machine. We don't configure or we don't care anymore about the which server is running on. We will choose the SKU, how many CPUs, RAM, we'll choose the disk, the service type, the availability, the redundancy, and so on. And then we will configure the OS and we will take care of everything else. But from the virtualization and down, we are not taking care of anything of that. Then we move to the platform as a service. In this mode, we will delegate the OS and the middleware to the cloud service provider, like the SQL Server database, for example. This would be the good example for the PaaS or the platform as a service. This would be the Azure Web App Service as well. So instead of installing a virtual machine, enabling the IaaS role to host your application, we can request a web app with .NET framework and install our binaries and start using the application. So we are not managing anymore the operating system or neither the middleware at this level. However, we still have some shared responsibility according to our scenario and our setup. We might have some shared responsibility for the network access list, for example, whitelisting who can access to our application or not. We still might have some shared responsibility for the application layer and for the directory infrastructure as well. However, the accounts that we are going to use and the data that we need to inject on our application, this will be always the responsibility of the customer. And the last model would be the software as a service. And in this on this setup, the network access lists, the authorizations, and the application layer would be delegated to the vendor. So for us, we might, in some cases, manage the directory infrastructure, like if we would like to enable Microsoft Entra ID, or if we would like to have some LDAP integration and so on, we might manage and take the configuration or manage in the same time the configuration of our directory infrastructure. However, we take only care of our accounts and the data on all the levels. So as you can see, the on-premises layer, we take care of everything. And as we move to the left, to the right hand, and as we move to the right, we delegate more and more the responsibilities to the vendor, which is Microsoft Cloud Services, like the Microsoft Azure, for example, and we have less and less responsibilities. This would allow us to focus more on our services without taking care of any setup, any configuration. This will be ready to use. And for the software as a service, the best example that we can take is the Microsoft 365, for example. So you subscribe to a license. This is a pay-as-you-go model. You subscribe to my Teams, for example. You buy a license for using Teams. You create your account, and you can start creating teams, holding meetings, and so on. So you don't care anymore about how they are maintaining the infrastructure behind the scenes. You only focus on your accounts, your users, and the data that you are going to inject into the application. So in other words, let's highlight what we have learned. The infrastructure as a service, these are the servers, the storage, the computing that we are renting from the cloud service provider, coupled with the networking and the security layer. For example, we have all the tools that will allow us to set up properly the environment. They are made at our disposal for the certification for the infrastructure. They are secured by their teams, patched, always up to date. You have the ability to control most of things. You can authorize or not automatic updates. So you still have control of almost everything. The cloud provider will build up the data center, the building will ensure that there are some cooling, electricity sources, exposure to internet as we are accessing, as we saw in the first module. Cloud computing is access over internet to servers, networking, and so on. So everything would made for us by the cloud provider, from internet access to the setup, tendency as well. So we don't take care of anything. Then on the PaaS, we dedicate as well the operating system management, patching, installation, and so on. And we get rid of the middleware and database management, for example. And for the final module would be the software as a service. And in this cloud service type, we delegate the application layer as well. So as you can see, as we progress, we dedicate more resources to the cloud service provider or to Microsoft Azure. As we saw the different cloud service types, let's switch to the knowledge check, and we have two questions in order to validate what we have learned in today's video. So the first one would be, which cloud service type is most suited to lift and lift migration from on-premises data center to a cloud deployment? We need to find the keywords to answer properly our question. So here, the keyword would be the lift and shift migration from on-premises to cloud. So the lift and shift, basically we don't touch to the application or any configuration. So we duplicate our data or our server and we run it somewhere else. So we take the server as it is, or the virtual machine, we replicate it to the cloud, and we started without any configuration or any changes. And this, taking a VM, run it somewhere else. We are talking about virtual machines, so the answer would be the infrastructure as a service. The second question, what type of cloud service type would a finance and expense tracking solution typically be in? And the keyword here is a solution. So which service would provide us a ready application without handling anything? So if we are talking about, like for this example, finance and expense tracking solution, we are talking about software as a service as we are accessing directly the application layer. Let's check the explanations and the questions are properly answered. So the first explanation, with infrastructure as service type, you can approximate your on-premises environment, making a lift and shift transition to the cloud relatively straightforward. As I told you, with lift and shift, you replicate your VM, you start it somewhere else, you open your flows, and you are ready to go. So this is the most straightforward uh, migration method. The second explanation would be SaaS provides access to software solutions such as finance, expenses tracking, email, or ticketing system. So as you can see, for example, if we take Outlook, you are accessing the application without any configuration. So you don't develop the application, you don't care about the binaries, the upgrades, and so on. You create your account, you start using your service, and you are ready to go. You subscribe to a license, and this is the pay-as-you-go model. So hope the cloud service types are more clear for you. Hope the pizza example made things more clear for you as well. I'm really glad that you stay until the end of the video. On the next video, we are going to move to the second learning path. And please do not hesitate to ask me any question on the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And until the next video, stay safe. Bye bye.